Sight After Dark, YouTube channel. Two people, they're a band out of Brooklyn, New York. They have been responding to Zappa songs, and their responses are everything you could ever hope for out of a Zappa response. And there is also another channel, Critical Reactions. This guy is a composer. He knows his stuff. He just responded to the Gumbo Variations, which is a very interesting response, and Montana, and a couple others, I think. But he has some really great insights, and his appreciation of what Frank does is pretty fun. So check those out. Sight After Dark, Critical Reactions. They're both on YouTube. Yeah, if you're interested in Frank Zappa song reactions. If not, thank you for watching this, and on to my review of this album. What's up? Thank you for watching my channel. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed away in December of 1993. I have done the ones released during his lifetime elsewhere on this channel, if you're interested. And out of the 55 I have determined are worthy of being reviewed, I'm not doing the birthday bundles, and I'm combining like the simultaneous releases of the same material. You'll know that if whatever. And out of the 55, I am currently on number 11, almost to the top 10, Little Dots. Little Dots was released in 2016. It is a single CD release, and it is the third release that documents the Wazoo tours of 1972. We had Imaginary Diseases, which was number 12. That was a Petite Wazoo document that Frank had actually taken the tracks and edited them and chosen them before he passed away. That was released first. Then Wazoo was released, which is a single complete show from the Grand Wazoo tour, which preceded the Petite Wazoo tour. And then finally we have Little Dots, which is the third of them. This is a document of the Petite Wazoo tour, a couple months of dates at the end of 72 of a 10-piece band. That featured, quickly, I'm going to go through this. So you had Frank on guitar and vocals, and Frank on rhythm guitar a lot of the time, and some excellent solos. You had Jim Gordon on drums, and his drum sound, it almost sounds like there's this weird phaser effect on it. I don't know if it's the way it's recorded. I don't know if it's that he's playing that incredibly fast, but the sound of his drums are just magical. Dave Parlato on bass, and again, the rhythm section is ridiculous. I just like, yeah, if you like your drums and bass, this has a lot of drums and bass in it. One of the tracks, in fact, just leads off with like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of them going at it, sort of Ornette Coleman free jazz chaos style. Kind of one of the reasons why this is a little higher than one spot higher than Imaginary Diseases. You get no percussion on piano. There's no piano or organ player or any of that percussive element on this. But instead, you got a whole bunch of horn players. So you've got Malcolm McNabb on trumpet, Gary Barone on trumpet, Tom Malone on a whole bunch of stuff, Earl Dumler on woodwinds, Glenn Ferris on trombone, Bruce Fowler on trombone, and Tony Duran on absolutely amazing slide guitar. He gets a lot of love in these shows and also in the Grand Wazoo shows. And then for a couple of the tracks on here, you get Maury Baker on steel drums, and the steel drums are very prominent in the songs that he appears on. They definitely help drive sort of the jam. Why is this number 11? Because it is a fantastic, fantastic release. One, I think it split the votes. I think had this and Imaginary Disease been one like 2-disc set, it definitely would have made the top 10. I think it would have pushed what is number 10 to number 11 and would have jumped over that a little more. I like Frank's guitar solos on here. Well, I haven't got to number 10 yet, but it would have jumped up into the top 10. But I think it kind of split the votes because of that. The sound is pretty decent. It's not great. It is definitely I think of the three, it kind of has some of the weakest sounding tracks where things kind of get a little muddied when the jams get crazy. But the soloists stand out, Frank's solos stand out. I mean, you can hear the songs. It's just more of like a B+, A- instead of your typical Frank A quality. And also, yeah, that's about it. That's why it's 11. And also, have you heard the other 10? The other 10 are stupid ridiculous. So yeah, I don't have much to say other than before I jump into the songs, other than these are just you get two songs on this album, essentially. You get Cosmic Debris, which is, for me, I mean, I guess this is the first ever officially released Cosmic Debris. So this is the early version of Cosmic Debris we've ever heard. Has a couple little different lyrics in there that would be dropped by the time it made 73. And then the part when he took the part at the very end where, again, I'm really bad at remembering lyrics, but the part where it usually Ike Willis would sing it and I brought the newspaper. What is that part? Said, I was pretty deep. That is a little more of a staccato kind of da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. It's not that heavy metal sort of heavy rock thing. We're talking about that end section right before the very end, which I cannot remember the lyrics right now. I'm going to pause it and then come back with lyrics. But the part that goes, I wrapped a newspaper around my head so I looked like I was deep. On this, it's like Frank does that a cappella and then the horns come in with a da-da-na-na-na-na. I said some mumbo jumbos and told him he was going to sleep. Da-da-na-na-na-na. It's like a very different sort of like give and take type vibe. That's kind of interesting and kind of cool to check out. And it's got a really good Frank guitar solo, as is typical with Cosmic Debris, before he would give that solo over to Keneally and Willis and other people in the 80s. And the only other song you get on here is Rollo. You get the full, complete Petite Wazoo 72 version of Rollo, which essentially breaks down into something called Rollo, the Rollo interior area, and Rollo Goes Out. Rollo Goes Out is what would eventually sort of get added on to the end of Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. It is what appears on Imaginary Diseases. But what we have here is we have a beginning section which has lyrics, and the lyrics are about a man and his dog, and they're kind of juvenile and typical Frank kind of scatological type lyrics. Not horrible, but not great. They're gonna change your opinion of this for the worse, I would imagine. But they're fun to hear because this is the only place you can get the Rollo lyrics. Then that goes into like a little middle section that includes an amazing Tony Duran slide guitar solo. He just tears it up. And then that ends, finally goes back into the da-da, and then Rollo as we know it, from You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 1, the end of Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, plus on Imaginary Diseases, and other places throughout Frank's catalog. So those are really the only two songs. Little Dots is kind of a song, I think. It sounds like there's a couple charts for the beginning and the end that Frank wrote up that are maybe a minute long, that are very Ornette Coleman-ish, very like free jazz, kind of chaotic, drums and bass doing it, the horns doing bursts. But other than those minute intro and minute outro, you essentially have 21 minutes of just solos and jams. And then the other three songs are all completely improvised pieces. So if you don't like solos, if you don't like jams, if you don't like that more open-ended improvisational stuff, this is not the release for you. Though it all is fantastic. So what is on here? You get Cosmic Debris, like I said, first one ever. And then the next two tracks are Little Dots Part 1 and Little Dots Part 2. So this is that Ornette Coleman craziness. It starts off with some, horn squealing, and then the bass and drummer get like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of just them going at it. It sounds improv-ish. I don't think it's a written out piece like Moe's Vacation or something like that. There are parts in the very beginning that might be written, but then it looks like they're just soloing and going at it. Then the steel drums come into it, or what sounds like steel drums. I don't think the steel drummer was on here. So I think Gordon moves to the steel drums at one point. And then Frank is kind of like conducting people for a while. And then Frank takes a really nice, really long, kind of chill solo, very much in the pocket, very much riding the groove, pretty lengthy solo, kind of a not as aggressive a tone, but still a pretty snaky, slithery tone. Then when that ends, it goes into Little Dots Part 2, which starts off with Duran on slide guitar, and this is a straight up boogie, Duran solos, and then I think there's a horn solo, must be a something that a sax, like maybe a baritone sax, it's some low kind of like funky type horn solo. And then Frank closes out with another guitar solo that's a little more aggressive than the first one. Totaling like 24 minutes total. Most of it is improv. Most of it is soloing. I don't know how you wouldn't like this. It's just phenomenal. That goes into Rollo that has a really good Tony Duran slide solo in the middle of it. Then we get Kansas City Shuffle. This is just an improv piece. A lot of times on this tour, Frank had the sort of audacity and braveness and courage to let this 10-piece band just straight up improvise stuff. Usually he would say like, okay, you guys start, and then from there I'll conduct you into some kind of groove and then we'll solo. This is a trumpet solo, a really good trumpet solo, and then another Frank Zappa guitar solo to close it out. This is about 6.5 minutes long. And then the last 2 tracks on here, I think it's called Columbia SC Part 1 and Part 2. This is a straight up improvised piece. In the beginning, you hear Frank say, hey, would you guys mind if we make something up that was a little bit jazzy and a little bit bluesy? Yay! What if it wasn't blues or jazz, but something else altogether? Yay! All right, we're going to do this. And then they do it. The first 9 minutes has a lot more of sort of Frank's conducted improvisation or directed improvisation. You can tell there are moments where he's like leading the band. There's one, it starts off kind of seductive, kind of slow, with a very sort of like, you know, slithery, sort of Southwest Asian type, do-do-do-do-do, you know, snake charmer type horn vibe. There are parts when Frank's conducting it when it gets really sleazy and jazzy. I made notes on here so I can remember. Another part that has a really kind of Mission Impossible type sound to it. So Frank's conducting all this stuff, and there's a whole bunch of horns, you know, different horn solos. Horns are popping up for little solos. Just a really nice, kind of a little bit spacier than what would follow, but just a really incredible knowing that it's completely improvised, completely made up on the spot. That goes on for like 9 minutes. And then the last 16.5 minutes, the groove that gets established in the beginning kind of reminds me of Charles Mingus's Philocanthropus erectus. I can never say the name of that. His the title track from that album from way back in, I cannot say, I don't know the name of it. You know what I'm talking about. It's Google Philocanthropus erectus, and it's a great Charles Mingus song, and it is from like the 50s. What is it called? Pithecanthropus erectus. Pithecanthropus erectus. It kind of sounds like a cross between that and Filthy Habits. And it's kind of a slow, just kind of seductive, kind of just, you know, nighttime prowling the streets type vibe. And this vibe gets set up, and then over it we start off with a Frank Zappa solo, kind of a low key, not a meeker solo, but definitely not a more aggressive solo. Then we get a whole bunch of solos. We get, I think, a sax solo. We get some bass. We get some drums. We get a little bit of everything over the course of 16 minutes. And then we end off, of course, with another just crazy Frank Zappa solo where he is just playing faster than I think I've ever heard him play before. And then he leads them back up into chaos, and then he brings it back down softly. And then it's just like the dynamics of this last 17 minutes are just so much fun. And every time you think it's going someplace and it's about to end, Frank takes it somewhere else. It is a wonderful, wonderful moment of improv. And those last 2 tracks, we're talking 25 minutes of just straight up Frank conducting a band and people soloing, and it is just fantastic. This is a phenomenal album. I have nothing to say that's bad about it. My only complaint is the Cosmic Debris, because I'm not a big fan of Cosmic Debris, and Cosmic Debris essentially was exactly the same the very first tour out as it would be back in 1988, other than that little I wrapped the newspaper around my head section being a little bit different. So that's just a song I'm kind of bored of. But other than that, just a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal release. Number 11, Little Dots. I highly, highly recommend this. And that's it, man. I'm on to number 10 next, the top 10. I'm excited. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching. My kindergarten class cut my hair. We raised like over $2,000 for the San Antonio Food Bank. I'm not quite used to it yet, but it's growing in pretty well. And being that it's summer here in Texas and it's like early in the morning here and it's already like 90 degrees, I'm kind of happy I cut my hair. But anyways, and it was really getting good in the back too, which sucks. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that, sorry. But anyways, peace. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all. Talk to you later. Comment below, all that stuff. Subscribe. I appreciate those lengthy comments. I like to know how everybody's Zappa journey is going. All right, bye.